All right, welcome everyone. This is Nichel Anderson. I'm your host for my podcast show, Surviving Your Journey Towards Success. And this week will be February the 18th when this is released for episode 55 entitled Bullies Are the Worst of Humanity. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with this particular lesson. Thank you so much for coming in and to tune into my podcast. So, in this day, I am thankful to the prime creator of all things that I give thanks for this blessing and opportunity that I will use it for the greater good. So, welcome my survivors of the journey to my podcast that aims to inspire and motivate, that you will continue to have joy, peace of mind, and for your sustained success. So, in this particular episode, let me get to my first segment, and that's the important point. And what I want to relate to you that's tuning in today is that bullies do not interact to join the positive aspect in building relations with one another, right? With other people that last. Instead, it is to tear down the very fabric that makes us human and grow. And I also believe that bullies, they aim to take away rather than to give. So bullies are the complete opposite of the circle of life. Because in order for the circle to be complete, it has to move forward to complete the circle. So it's a giving, and in that giving, you will receive. You don't have to take. And the bullies that I feel, at least the ones that I have encountered in my life, that's the motto. That's what they do continuously. Most of the time under disguise, sometimes not. So my wisdom point is that for you to remember is that bullies don't aim to create a productive forward relations because they rather step on others to rise above everyone else, right? And to bring their significance of themselves at your mental peace and severely reduce joy at your expense. Okay, so why is this so? Where bullies seek to control while the rest of us seek to get peace. So I'm going to repeat that. So why is this so? Why do bullies are considered to be, at least that's what I'm saying, it's basically the worst of humanity? It's because bullies seek to control while the rest of us seek for peace. So the conflict ensures in between that night and day fight and that pushback that when we go through to try to live a peaceful life, because their objective is to ruin humanity. The root of the deeds that are set by bullies operate on the self-value and self-worth concept, and they project what they feel about themselves on others through aggression. Sometimes it's passive, meaning that they're right on the borderline that it's not really illegal, or it is illegal, it's getting there, or they're doing it in a way that you got to question yourself that, well, is it something that, the person did, or someone else, or was you, but really is them. So that's the passive aggressiveness. And then the full-blown aggressiveness, of course, with physical and actually verbal, just outright unhinged. So who are we talking about? Well, it's those that seek to break down the fabrics of the circle of life within humanity. It can range from the very young to the much older human being, right? Older person. So what does it actually look like? Well, violence, as I mentioned earlier, about not the passive aggressiveness, but full-blown aggression towards someone else or other people. It filters through the emotional violence platform that leads to the physical violence. Sometimes it's the physical, then the emotional, or it's vice versa. It's emotional, and it could be by words or deeds, not directly giving you physical injuries, and it can go from that, or it could just be by words. I think when bullies use words, it's basically the worst, because the words that are spoken isn't of a peace, it's of being aggressive and want to attack you. And words take a while to heal, those painful words. And so when you speak, you either speak to life or you speak to the opposite of that, which is no life. So I like to speak to life, speak to power to life, because I feel that everyone has the right to live, and it's wrong for those who want to take away life because how they feel about themselves. And instead of healing what needs to be healed and doing the work and not being lazy. I think bullies are lazy. They're emotional lazy, they're mental lazy, they're spiritual lazy. And so a quick way And nothing in life is easy. Nothing in life is a quick way to get to here, to get to there. You got to work for it. So just to kind of touch on what I've been through in my life, and it took a while for me to get to this awareness, to get to this wisdom, and I'm still learning about how they operate. 'Cause that's what life is. It is a learning experience, and you continue to grow when you get more wisdom and understanding. And in that platform of dealing with them, they mostly come to their full realm of aggression when they're in a state of power, right? When they have some type of power over you, either in the workplace, maybe in their position, or maybe in a group that you're working with, and they position or what have you, and they abuse it and they feed off that, especially when they know that it's painful. They see that it's painful. They can feel it, how you're feeling, and they sit there and they smile, or they laugh, or they joke, and then they find other people that they can connect with that's on the same vibration, the same mental decay, because that's what it is. It's mental decay, because we got to stop and think the ones that have been suffering by being bullied in their lives, either still now or in the future when it happens, is to sit there and to take part in an activity where you see that other person is being wrong. They feel that energy. They feel that, because see, that bullies operate in fear. And I always talk about Mr. Fear of an entity, in a sense that it's something that you feel but you don't see. And fear operates on different level. It operates when the other person is a bully, because it prevents other people to find out their insecurities. It could be the insecurities that they don't really know their job and they got the role for whatever reason. And to hide that, I'm going to be a bully and say something that is a lie. But the aim is to distract you from finding out that I don't know my job and I don't know the answer. So being humble. See, humble is a part of the circle of life. Because when you're humble, you're open to find and get the answers, and you admit the challenges. See, what they don't realize, okay? What they don't realize, the bullies, is that when they be honest of their fears, honest of what Mr. Fear was coming to them saying, yeah, you should be worrying about this. Yeah, you're this and you're that. Okay? If you want to feel better about yourself, you go ahead and abuse your authority, or you abuse the relationship, and you rise yourself up into the relationship, and your partner or what have you, put them down so you can control them. Then you can be esteemed. Then you can be the king or the queen or what have you. But you're really not. How can you be a king and a queen of anything when you got to take away? That means the bully has violated the protocol of the circle of life. They violate that. It's a spiritual crime. And people say, well, we need to forgive and we need to move on. How can you forgive when you have people that are classified as bullies, either passively or right in your face aggressiveness, and keep doing it? Now, if I go to scripture, and this is just I'm saying for me, not whatever belief that you have, even Jesus said it's a time limit. All right. And I didn't really plan to go there, but I have to go there because if you listening to this and you on the side of, like I say, my podcast, The Road to Forgiveness, on the side that you were victimized by that, stop forgiving them. It's a good quote that I always replay back in my mind by Maya Angelou. She was one of my mentors. She one got me through a lot of years through her poems and through her writings, and motivated me to keep going and encouraged me and helped me to repair my self-esteem, because I was surrounded by them. I was surrounded by a lot of them over time. And for the grace of God, I made it through. Thank you, Jesus. I got to just share that with you. You listening? That's my story. That's my testimony. And Maya Angelou said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. I'm going to repeat that because there's some wisdom there, what Maya Angelou said. When someone shows you who they are, you believe them. And then you act accordingly. So forgiveness, as I mentioned in my previous podcast, and you haven't listen to that, I highly encourage you to download that podcast, share it to somebody, and help you to get motivated. Forgiveness is earned, it's not just given. And like Maya Angelou said, when they show who they are, that's when you got to really pay attention and accept it and move on. And sometimes that truth pill is hard to swallow, but it's the only way to get your mental peace, to get your joy, to get your joyfulness in your heart. Right? You have to accept what they are and then move on. They are the worst of humanity. Humanity is evolution, it's growing, it's moving, it's a circle. And they want to tear that down. They tear that down by the words that they use. So if you're a bully and you listening to this podcast and want to find out, well, what's going to be said, okay, then hear the words that I speak. You need to change your ways. You need to change the way you feel about yourself. You need to take responsibility and you need to stop it. And you need to find ways so you can have, it's like a cheaper way to get to your joyfulness. It's a very cheap way to have mental peace. Your mental peace is on the contingency that you tear down someone else. You make them feel devalued, not worthy, insignificant. It's a cheap, low way, and over time it reaches the spiritual plane, and then your misery that you've been pushing out, outside, and been locking all the doors and closing the windows and keeping everything, the light out. No, the light needs to come in, and in the light we see the truth. In the darkness there is no truth. You hear it, criticism here and this and that, but you run away from it. And it's time for you to take responsibility and stop the foolishness. It's hard work, and but it's worth it on the other side. It's worth to go through and to take responsibility and stop hurting people. Stop finding, that's not joy. That's not joyfulness in your heart when you hurt other people. And you can say, well, I have this and I have that because I'm in position. Those things don't last forever, but on the spiritual plane, it lasts. And that's your mental peace is tied to that. That's why people say they have all that money. They have all those things, a house and this. Those are all physical things. Physical things over time loses its value, and your heart and your mind, they see it, but they not really cling to it. That's why their lives are just in complete shambles, and they're miserable, and they're using other type of means to stuff the pain, which I recommend to read my episode 8 and episode 9 dealing with why old emotional pain comes up. To go back and check that podcast out and recommend it. It's because the physical plane is just that, is one level. The spiritual plane is deeper, because that's where I feel that we all originated from, something that we can't really fathom and talk and use our language to describe it. So I like to say it is what it is. And it's tied to the spiritual realm, and that's where your mental peace, I feel, is originated. So the physical can keep you busy and occupied for a while. Your position and power, either at work or in your relationship, can keep you feeling like you have authority and you're this and you're that, and different clothes that you wear and the name brand and all of that can keep you this and that. So you feel empowered, but it's a cheap way, and the Mr. Fear give you that power for a while, but it never lasts. And then over time, you have all this warehouse of karma, because I believe karma is real. Either you do good deeds or bad deeds. Bullies do bad deeds, negative deeds all the time. And then over the years and the decades, it catch up with them, because it's spiritual. It's like in Egypt, they used to say an eye for an eye, and I think with that, it teaches you that you have to watch the seeds that you planted will take root and they grow out. So you got to know which seeds I'm planting. And bullies can destroy someone else's mental peace. And like I said, mental peace is tied to the spiritual plane. And I wonder why that person don't see how great they is. I wonder that person got into depression. I wonder why that person was so depressed. I wonder why that person, just disregard what the bully said, because words matter and words stick like tar, and then they stick to your skin, and it's like and then it creates this wound, and then it goes into, it's like your skin, and it's deep and get into your heart, into your mind, and it replays those words over and over. That negativity is poison, right? Poison is negativity. That's why people seek out and try to speak. Because some of them don't, because they still believe in that what the lie was told from the bully. So bullies don't nurture humanity. They take away. So they are the worst. Okay? So with that, we have to see that those that seek to break down the fabrics of the circle of life within humanity, it can range from the very young to the much older human. I had a dose of all those different ones of different levels. You think when people get older, they get wiser. Some people don't when they get older, right? So And I just described as well what does it look like, and I mentioned about the violence and how it filters through our emotional self, and it can be emotional violence or physical violence, both extremes that aims to tear up the humanity of nature to the disaster phase, right? And people just want to check out and they don't feel that their life is worthy. I'm here to tell you your life is worthy. If a bully focused on you and their whole goal was to tear you down, you are very, very significant. You say that to yourself today. Say it to yourself about 7 times. I am significant. 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 I believe that I am significant. My life is significant. Okay? So, in that, with the bully, what I said, bullies, they restrict brotherhood and sisterhood and lessens the opportunity to grow both spiritually and mentally. It is an element that breaks down our society. All right. So, meaning my life is significant within the circle of life. I have an importance in the circle of life. My life matters. So your strategy to succeed is to get your courage to resist the bullies. The second thing is believe in your self-worth. That is something about you that attracts the bully to attack you with no merit or relentless persecution. Basically, it is not you, it really is them. Use self-motivational tactics, listening to positive affirmations to assist giving you the courage to speak up. Your voice is the power along with your action on the most worst bullies of humanity. So you have to stand your ground. You have to outsmart them because most of them are not smart. And I say that because they really think they can get away with it. They really think they can control you forever. And over time, the power does swift. It comes unbalanced, restructure itself, and you are in control. So your task to Dusk to Dawn is that you have to design a verbal rebuttal, like the one I just mentioned about being significant and feeling that way. So you to shut the bully down, like a statement when they spot you and you know they're about to go there with you. So just push back. Not today. I'm too busy to talk. Go there with you today and walk away. Focus on something else. If they are really crafty, some keep talking and poking you to say something where you just stay busy and avoid any closeness interactions completely. Now you're in a close relationship and you're living with them. That's a struggle. And it really is. You have to be creative on that to the point maybe you just stay busy and you're hardly ever in the same room. But even that's kind of hard. And eventually you have to come to the table and decide that you got to move on. Some people can't because they have a job and all this, but you got to make a decision or your mental state will suffer. Your motivational takeaway is that it is not you, it is them. So resist bullies that want to tear down your fabric of existence of life to maintain your mental peace and life joy by speaking up to the truth. So their reign of terror is over. Okay? So it's not you, it's them. Resist the bullies that would tear down your fabric of existence of life and choose your joyfulness, your mental peace. Thank you for joining me for my podcast episode from my podcast show, Surviving Your Journey to Success, just to give you some information to not only stay in contact, but with the other things that I offer. I provide career consultation, offering the first 30 minutes are free. Thereafter, there is a fee access afterwards per hour and can be discussed on a case-by-case basis, depending on your need. So if it is an emergency and you need some consultation regarding your career or choices that you're about to make moving forward, in a sense, in your personal type objectives, then you can definitely contact me. The primary way to contact me is by email, which is info@nichelanderson.com. Now, I do have a toll-free number on my website. Now, that is actually only for webinars when I'm doing like a free webinar and you're calling in once that number is through that medium, and it's only really for that, so it's not really connected to me directly. Now I am working on that, but for right now it's not really, and when that changes you would definitely get a notice of that to go forward. So just to recap, my primary way is info@nichelanderson.com. All right, so the other thing I want to share with you is that I also provide business courses and self-improvement courses. So that overall objective is to help you to create strategies that work for you, to get you motivated, to identify the ways to get your or keep your joy and your mental peace. So I do provide that on the basis of your objective to gain success, and as I like to say, sustain success. You can find information on my courses that I release on my official website, which is www.nichelanderson.com. And you can go there and you can look at the different courses that I am releasing that are available. These courses are self-paced. They will be identified if they're considered to be like live sessions on a regular basis, but for the most part they are self-paced. During that time, I do have live sessions that once you have signed up for the course, you will see that in the schedule of what days that I'm available live, that you can talk to me and we can go over the courses going forward, right, on those particular topics. So that information is basically on my website that you can go to, which is nichelanderson.com. Now, I want to do a special call out for listeners that I have seen in my stats that are following me, continue to follow me, which I am thankful for. Now, to get connected more, to stay connected, I'm asking you to consider to join my newsletter that I do send out. And to do that, you just have to submit, of course, your name and your email. I don't spam. You could always request to be taken off the list. I don't send thousands of emails because I don't like thousands of emails from a particular source. So I keep it very in a way that's informative, of course, because obviously you like the content because you hear and you enjoy it and you're getting something from it, which pleases me. To expand that and to move forward and to get into other ways that I can expand what I'm trying to do is to form a newsletter, to get that set up in the sense that I'm communicating that I can send that out more quickly, actually, through a podcast or any type of thing or production that I'm doing, where a newsletter is more, in the sense, faster to get that contact and to send it out on blast, right? And more opportunity to send more content compared to like social media characters to be able to get that message out. So do consider that to join my newsletter by providing, and you can find that link at the end of each episode. I have that link to basically to sign up here for Nichel E-List Tips newsletter. And you could do that and you can see that and click, and it's a short form, online form. It is secured and you can complete that. All right, the other thing I want to talk about is basically to subscribe to this podcast. If you haven't, please go ahead. Of course, this is going through Podbean. I have 2 podcasts. This one, of course, you're listening to is Surviving Your Journey to Success. And you can subscribe. Of course, you should see the subscribe button here at the bottom of this episode or at the top, whichever device that you're using. Now, I'm also available on iHeartRadio, on Spotify, on Google Play, on iTunes, and any other podcast directories for feed distribution. You can connect that way and subscribe. And if you like it, share it. Now, I am on social media. And so you do hear me a lot talk about Twitter. I'm mostly active on Twitter. I'm also active on Facebook. For the most part right now is Twitter. And I like the whole concept of keeping it short and sweet. In my closing, I want to say thank you again for joining me today. Here is my closing statement for you. Be you that strengthens and inspires your ability to be strong in your journey endeavor. It's a good thing towards your mental peace and joy. Always to your success.